have people popping in the chat already. We'll be live on video in just a moment. We're doing our final preparation here, getting ready for takeoff. And waiting on Robert. I'm going to text him right now. Hopefully he'll be in just a second. Oh, there he is right now. Hello, Patrick. Good to see you, Fraley. I'm looking forward to catching up tomorrow, my friend. And hello, Amanda. Thank you so much for my last-minute call and for getting that posted in chat. Hey, Pat66, Joffrey, and Kai Hawk. Robert, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Robert, this is Kyle. Kyle, this is Robert.
Hi, Robert. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
And we're just getting our final stuff. Make sure I got everybody in the right windows. Let's swap those two there. Boom. And then let me resize Kyle's window just a bit.
I'm pretty.
You are a handsome man. All right, and I might need to do some tweaking once we go live with video. All right, everybody that's popping in, thank you for joining us in the chat. And we're going to have a fun time tonight. We got a few announcements that we'll go through, and then we'll get right into some Q&A. If you did not see it, it should be posted now in our Discord. In addition to our Mantic giveaway tonight, the team at Mantic has agreed they're going to do a fantastic giveaway, a $100 website code to anything on Mantic's store. I mean, that is absolutely insane. Robert's looking at me like, John, why weren't you promoting that sooner? Because I'm an idiot, Robert. I didn't know. My fault. I didn't ask. It's not his fault. So I will get better with that. And with that as our introduction, let me go ahead and we're going to go live on video in 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome, everyone. Blue Box Loremasters Arcanum 100 and what is this, 10, something like that? I forget. Mando can correct me in the chat. Tonight we are joined by Kyle from Mantic Games, and as always, my lovely co-host Robert. Good to have you with us tonight, Robert. Robert, I thought my view was slightly off kilter. It's you are actually slightly off kilter on your camera. I don't know if you can move it. I mean, you're covering your die. It's not perfect. There we go.
Oh, man.
And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We should have a good chat here. And Kyle, first things first, we're gonna get to know you a bit tonight. We're gonna talk about the outstanding products from Mantic Games, which has been a premier sponsor for Blue Box for over 2 years now. The way you guys handle your partners is incredible. Thank you. Hey Jay, good to see you. Slav, everybody, thanks for joining the chat. Tim, so you have a strap around your neck. Talk to us about, so I told everyone, if you missed it on Sunday, I mentioned that Kyle messaged me over the weekend. And when I got the email, Kyle, I got to be honest, I got the email from you, and the first thing it said was, I broke my shoulder, and as I'm reading, I have two thoughts. Thought number one was, oh man, poor guy. Thought number two was, he's canceling. And then I read down below, and you're telling me because you're doing voice to text, because you have a broken arm at the shoulder. And so I feel like, what a stand-up guy. Not just a great sponsor, but a trooper coming in with a broken arm, humerus snapped right below the shoulder. Dude, number one, thank you. Two, tell everybody how it happened.
Oh, it's a story where, I play hockey. I love to ice skate. And every once in a while on the weekends, we get together with some family and go down to the local rink, get the kids out, you know what I mean? And just do some very casual public skating. And we were doing that on, not this past Saturday, but the one before. And towards the end of the first part of the session, every once in a while, they need to clean the ice, get all the grooves out and put a fresh sheet down. I was waiting to get a really good one good lap in and just do a nice, workout for myself. Because when you're public skating, everyone's going real slow, and it's just, they're playing music and the kids are just kind of going all over the place. So I wanted a nice clear lane, get a good lap in, just to feel good about myself, do a couple crossovers, you know what I mean?
Right.
Have fun with it. And they're clearing the ice. I see a lane. I'm literally sitting down in the corner of the ice, and I see a lane finally open up, and I decide, all right, I'm going to go for it, and start all the way back at the red line, and I go full speed to the center ice. And at that point, I notice a kid on the other side of the ice that had just decided he was going to turn around. He's going to turn around and come straight towards me. And my gut instinct was to just go around him. I was like, I'm just going to avoid this kid because I wanted to keep going.
Right.
And he had the same reaction, but instead of going the opposite direction from me, he goes right at me and comes kind of right towards my knees. And I grab him by the shoulders and twist and turn him. And when I do that, he loses his balance. He grabs onto my coat, drags me down. I land going pretty fast right on my elbow and just crack. I immediately thought my shoulder was out of socket, and I'm seeing spots. I'm coming off the ice. I'm barely breathing. I'm kind of like, I mean, my chin bounced off the ice. It was,
wow.
My knees were bruised. It was a rough landing. And I get over to the side area, and I'm sitting there rolling my shoulder, trying to, feel it and see if it's coming back. My family's just looking at me like, no, we're just going to go straight to the ER and get this figured out. So I was going to ask people to try to put my shoulder back in place at the, at the rink. So I'm glad I didn't, because obviously with it broken, if I tried to pull something like that, that would have been, I just would have fainted. So
wow. I mean, well, first of all, great story. Second of all, is it true what you mentioned to me earlier that much like the first thing I thought was he's going to cancel, the first thought when you broke your arm was, I've got to pull through for Blue Box on Wednesday night? Is that true?
It really is.
I thought so.
I specifically thought, there's no way I can miss this. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. I have to be a part of this. So I got some extra pain meds. I even borrowed some from a friend just to make sure that.
So you're not responsible for anything you say tonight, right?
No.
Hey, I warned you about my chat. So in the chat, when you first started telling the stories, Joffrey said he got hit by an ogre. And I told you what part of the story to leave out, didn't I? I told him, leave the part about the kid being 12 years old out. My chat, Amanda said, oh, not an ogre, a halfling. Oh, yes, exactly. Hey, Greg, good to see you. So before we get started tonight, we're going to kind of cover a little of your gaming background, and then we're going to dive into the game as a whole, state of the game, and then a lot about Mantic tonight. Mantic has been a sponsor for me now for well over 2 years. My relationship started with Martin, and every time I've reached out to him with an email, it'll be usually like a couple of times a year. I give away the product judiciously, and when it's the right time, I'll use that as a giveaway to promote Mantic. And every time I reach out to Martin, within days, another shipment goes out, and it's been a fantastic relationship. In terms of a sponsor, you guys are very responsive. I wanted to call out how that relationship got started. Now you have a program here. Are they called Pathfinders, or what are these ambassadors you have?
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially community fanatics. These are people that have reached out to us and said, we love your stuff. We want to be a part of everything that you do. So what more can we do to be involved? And we sign them on, and they essentially agree to volunteer to help us for either running demos at local game stores, helping us at events, large events, Gen Con, Adepticon, Gamma, all those kind of things. They will help run the booth with us and do demos there, run game nights, and we essentially help pay them in product and discounts and all that kind of stuff. So they get to be involved on sort of all the behind the curtain stuff and get some early sneak peeks and preview copies of books and new models. And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool, Kyle, and that's exactly how Blue Box got in touch, and we became a sponsor with Mantic. It was he's in our chat tonight, Bloodwild SW. That's Steve Deppy out of California, and he was a member of my community. Was a really early on watching streams on Blue Box and participating in, and he said, "You guys need to check out Mantic Games." And I was already slightly using some Terrain Crate stuff, and he is constantly advocating for you guys, and that was how Blue Box wound up with Mantic. So thanks, Steve.
Big thanks.
Yeah. So let's start with paid with exactly. So tonight we have two giveaways. One is I'm giving away. So in preparation for this stream on Sunday, I gave away the Dungeon Villains box set. during my Tears of Air stream. And then tonight we're giving away the Denizens of the Abyss. This is a super cool box set with several denizens that you need to TPK using members of the Abyss. And so we'll give this away tonight. But then you might have also heard that Kyle and the team at Mantic Games very generously are giving away a $100 code to their website tonight for any Mantic product. Kyle, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
So talk to us. D&D, how did you get started?
For me in D&D, I am not the most experienced with it. Honestly, I played a little bit when I was a kid, and I had some older kids in my neighborhood that were running, a vampire campaign, Masquerade. There was a couple of things that I would sit around the house because they were in their sessions, and I would just, kind of absorb it and see how cool it was that they were just literally flowing through all this imagination. And I didn't play my first games really until I was in, I think, high school and college, in that kind of time frame. And I was the person. Before that, I ran online role-playing games in chat rooms with people that essentially would come on with their character name in the chat room, and we would just kind of type it all out. And this is, 1998 in that kind of time frame. So we literally would come into the chat room, and I would type up a story. The characters would act. We didn't roll dice. It wasn't anything like that. It was literally just sort of us making our own system up. And that's what got me into the headspace and the imagination of it. And I created sort of my first character in my head, the whole story behind it. And when it came time to play official, organized role-playing games, tabletop stuff, D&D or otherwise, I always kind of went back to those experiences in the chat rooms, because it was the thing that I was most familiar with at the time. And it became something that, because I had the experience with chat rooms, everyone wanted me to be the DM. They wanted me to tell the stories and that kind of thing and come up with campaigns. And I know I ran a couple of sort of pre-written ones, and then I had one in college with a group of friends that I put together. And I think one of the most memorable things from it is I decided to give a situation where one of the characters picked a wish ring, basically, out of a treasure chest very early on, but it wasn't identified. They had no idea what it was. And I literally waited for the guy to say anything with the word "I wish" or "I wish," like that kind of thing would happen. And they were on a boat, crossing a sea, and he was getting into a fight with another player character and said, "I wish a sea dragon would come out of the ocean right now and bite your head off." And I was just like, "Here we go. We're going to do this."
Wow, that is awesome.
And I mean, they were losing their minds, because they were like, what, how is this happening? So
what a great story. And probably coming to a Blue Box stream near you. Rob, did you ever play in sort of RP text chat scenarios and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, IRC, dial-up bulletin board systems, all kinds of stuff. Just doing freeform role play. A lot of it wasn't guided. A lot of it was just really, we had a setting and you just interacted. And I mean, there were like handshake agreements about things you couldn't do or things that you needed to talk out ahead of time. But there were times where you just role played and reacted to each other, and we would do that for hours on hours and days on end.
Rob, when you did that, what was your handle? Did you have a handle that you used in the boards?
No, I probably played about 75 different characters over the time I was doing that. It was I would play off of whoever wanted. Somebody came in, they needed somebody to play off of them. I'd ask them what they were looking for, and here we go.
But you didn't have like a handle that you logged in under? Because that was pretty common.
IRC, because IRC you would switch your handle with whatever character you were playing. For bulletin board systems, I was Phantom for the longest.
Okay.
Phantom was my second one. I had one early on, but Phantom, I've been Phantom in some way, shape, or form for like BBS system for years.
So what about you, Kyle? Do you remember like which IRCs or servers you were in, or did you have a handle that you went by back then?
I don't remember the servers or anything like that. The character that I had was it was Sidonia Tingel, and I don't know if that, if you could find anything on that nowadays, but I literally made a website, when I was like 12 years old, using HTML on Angel Fire, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
What? GeoCities, Angel Fire, and Tripod.
Yes.
The unholy trinity of websites.
So I had the crazy scrolling background of like a space, nebula kind of thing, and thought I was the coolest thing in the world.
How much flashing content can you possibly have on one screen at a time?
Right. Yeah. Music playing, all kinds of fun stuff. I was excited because I had like drop down menus where the characters could like buy items from a shop, and it would add it to their character profile. They were just character sheets basically, but I would do story updates and post it on there. But it was just me typing things out and then putting it on the website.
Very, very cool. And we'll take any other questions in the chat. Just pop them in there. You do have the first giveaway, which is mine. That's the hashtag BlueBoxRPG, hashtag BlueBoxRPG in the chat. And so do you get to play it all today, Kyle?
So very recently, I've started doing a session with a friend and her little girl. And we're doing I wish I could think of the name of it, but it's basically designed for kids. It's a 5th edition setting for kids. It's a mailed subscription service where they send you a bunch of character sheets and then essentially a campaign that just kind of goes along with it. And we've had just 2 sessions so far, but seeing an 8-year-old little girl acting out as a little elf spellcaster is fantastic. She's just. I forget the girl's name, but it's something Morningstar, and it's so perfect for a little girl to really get her imagination going. And if there's goblins involved, I'll put on a little voice and I'll start talking to her. She just eats it up. Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Rob, you've got a goblin voice as well. Let's hear your most recent one.
Oh yeah, what do you want? we got to do something around here.
So I'd like the two of you, Rob. I want you to ask him a question in Goblin, and I want Kyle to answer in his Goblin voice. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, Steve wanted me to ask you about something about Dragon Origins Saga. It's supposed to come out this month, I think, or what's the deal with that?
I think you mean Dungeon Saga Origins. Maybe? No? Yes.
I didn't quite catch that.
Bravo. Yes. Embarrassing my guests is what we do here. But no, well, you guys did fantastic. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Amanda, let's do a poll. How many think we should have the rest of the interview conducted in that manner by these two individuals? Let's do yes, no, or heck yeah. No, I'm kidding. So, So what exactly is that?
So Dungeon Saga Origins is playing off of a board game that we made a while ago, Dungeon Saga. And this is essentially taking the same characters and doing a prequel, which is interesting because a lot of people, I think, expected us to do a sequel to it. And it's a dungeon crawler scenario where you can pick, essentially one player takes control of the dungeon itself and the different minions and various bad guys that will pop up and cast their way into the hero's path. And there's a whole bunch of scenarios that can pop up that make it more challenging. You can dive into it and look for treasures and that kind of thing to upgrade your characters with. And the other player characters get to pick a hero or multiple heroes if you're playing, solo, for example, and go through the dungeon as either a barbarian, a dwarf. There's Magic of the Elf, the Danner the Wizard. There's essentially a nice smattering of the kind of play styles that you might want to like and attach to. And this one in particular, Origins, and why we're doing it is we really wanted to, again, reconnect with kids and say this is where you start your sort of fantasy gaming experience. This is a really good place to jump in. So we've made a really simplified rule set that is just a blast to play and is something that someone like an 8-year-old little girl can notice it, see a character that she identifies with and want to jump in and start playing right away and really grasp the rules without mountains of text and stuff that they have to get through to understand things.
Very cool. No, I like that. And we showed some of the website and the original Dungeon Saga Origins. And then someone mentioned in the chat, they're also looking for, really good sci-fi terrain and miniatures. Well, I'm showing you a slideshow of a lot of the, all the Mantic stuff you see here, of course, is more of a fantasy setting, but they have an entire line of really cool terrain crate stuff for for the sci-fi saga.
Yeah, we have a tremendous amount that came from a game that we play, a game that we make called Dead Zone, which is a sci-fi skirmish game, and it's a grid-based system, so it's an 8x8 map, and on it the buildings basically fit directly into the grids. And what's nice about it is that your pieces can go into the grids, and that there's no tape measures or anything like that. If you have a movement value of 2, you move 2 grid spaces, and you can place the models anywhere within the grid. So it's a very simplistic understanding. Your gun might be 4, a range of 4, and that's just 4 cubes away. So we built terrain to go around that grid system, so it has a full 3D scale of base levels, and it goes up with height. So in the gameplay goes all around that. That was really the first iteration of the sci-fi stuff, and it expanded from there from Star Saga, which was the sci-fi version of Dungeon Saga that we did. Oh, that was probably 2018, something like that. So another board game, very similar thing. It's just set in a sci-fi setting and same kind of mechanics that I talked about before. That opened up a ton of different terrain pieces that would work for that game, especially just like the simple things like doors. It was amazing to us how many people said, I want doors. Dungeon Saga did that, and that was the real kickoff for Terrain Crate because of how many people just wanted like generic dungeon doors. And it was like, okay, there's a market here for this. That's something that we can
I've got a whole box of your doors right behind me here.
Yeah. So that's what really kind of opened our eyes, that there were people that were looking for these things, and obviously we had designed it, so let's get it to market.
And I'm showing all of this product on your website while we're talking. I've just gone through some of the Dead Zone stuff. Now I'm showing some of the Dungeon Saga stuff. Very cool. And you've got some, hey, thank you for the sub, Retro Gamer. You've got some stuff on here that's like extremely comprehensive, detailed sets, huge packs, kits. Reminder tonight that if you pick up a $100 gift card, a lot of the stuff can be free, or like you can get the Dungeon Saga, the Dwarf King's Quest for $10. Right. So don't miss that opportunity. But you guys do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
So
I mean, Mantic we're gamers. We're all people that really like games of any variety and genre, and that's why we're spread to so many different kind of spaces. But for us, I mean, the big focus is fantasy and sci-fi, because those are the two nerd dominated ones. And so the big IPs that we have that are ours, not just Terrain Crate in general, but Kings of War is our fantasy mass battle war game, kind of a successor to Warhammer Fantasy Battles in a lot of ways. That's how a lot of people see it, at least. It's a game that many of our employees worked at Games Workshop when Warhammer Fantasy was, it thriving in like mid 5th and 6th editions, and Alessio Cavatore wrote some of those rules, and he wanted to be able to sort of refresh the rules, but you're stuck, in the edition of what the company's made. And when Ronnie left Games Workshop, who's our CEO, he essentially was able to say, hey, Alessio, now you can write the addition to the game that you always wanted to make. And Kings of War is absolutely our biggest, it's our flagship range for sure. It's paired with Armada, which is a fantasy naval war game, but it's set in the same universe. So all the same, races and factions are involved. All the stories kind of flow together so that what's happening on the seas is the same struggles as the races are dealing with on land.
Yeah, absolutely. And the chat is all, I mean, these pieces are stunning. Such variety. The request was made for the website URL. I think we posted it a couple of times. Also, if you go to the Blue Box website, blueboxrpg.com, and you click on sponsors, all of our sponsors, including Mantic, are right there. And you click that, it takes you straight through to their site and all of their information and their stores. But, I want to dive more into this, but I want to back up for a second. How did you land the dream job and wind up working in a game company like Mantic?
That's the fun part is I was just a fan. I wasn't a Pathfinder, but I was just a huge fan of the games. And I realized that there wasn't a whole lot of content out there promoting Mantic stuff. And I decided, I'm going to make some battle reports for Kings of War. It was what I was into, and it was right when Warhammer Fantasy switched from the full rank and flank to Age of Sigmar, and it was more of a skirmish game. And there was a lot of people that were looking for something else out there that they could play. And I found Mantic in that process, and I was like, okay, let me check this game out. And I couldn't find anything on it. So I was like, okay, well, if no one else has made anything, I'm going to make something. So I started making battle reports to show the game, and I filmed it with a buddy of mine, and it really blew up. And we got a lot of attention towards it, and the games, really, people were doing the same thing I was. They were trying to find something else. And when I finally gave them content to find it, people saw how good the game was. And that was the thing that blew me away, is that for a company that was not nearly as big as Game Workshop, not even a sniff of what they are, they were producing games that were the most fun I had ever had. And I was like, I just want to be a part of this. Like, I want to do as many cool things as possible. And I reached out and said, hey, I want to do more for you. What can I do? And I got involved making some Kickstarter videos, like just doing general production things for them. I did the Star Saga Kickstarter video.
Wow.
Hellboy Kickstarter video, a number of things, through that time. And I had sent Ronnie a message and just said, hey, I want to work for you. I want to be a part of this. This is just cool to me. I love what you're doing. I feel like you're a rocket ship taking off, and I just want to be on that ship. And
wow.
When there was a position for a North American sales manager, I was like, I'm in North America. I want to be a part of this. I applied.
I meet half the qualifications. I'm in North America.
Yeah. I applied, and I've been selling the games and the systems for them for years at that point, just on my own passion, and got the job, and I've been incredibly happy ever since. I just get to do and be a part of something that I love, every day.
That's awesome.
That is so cool. So it was, Steve had put it in the chat. It sounds like he had it right. His answer was, you threatened Ronnie. And it's yeah, I'm just showing some more of your stuff. I mean, look at the Denizens of the Abyss. Man, you guys just make some freaking awesome stuff. Wow. I've got a bunch more questions, but Rob, let me pause for a second. Anything you'd like to ask or dive into?
Oh, Jesus. I'm sitting there staring at all the things that I still need to buy because,
you could burn like half a year's paycheck on this website. I mean, there is a lot of cool stuff. Elf Mega Army.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, because I have a bunch of it that I still need to paint. Well, I need to paint many, many, many things, but that's beside the point.
It's the hard part. I can't paint right now. I can't paint right now.
Oh,
I had a whole army I was getting ready to take to Adepticon, which is a big, war games convention. And I got the clearance to play in the event, and I've been planning this army for like months, and I had just a few more units to go, and I can't do it.
I guess I'm going to assume that the Kings of War stuff is your favorite of the products. What's your second favorite thing that Mantic does in terms of the products?
I really, that's tough because I love it all, so it's hard. We just came out with Firefight, and Firefight is a science fiction, larger scale, I would call it skirmish because of the way that the formations are done, but it's a D8 based system, and you roll pretty much exclusively D8 dice. And what I love about that is that in so many war games in particular, they only use D6, and when you're basing stats off of that, you don't have a real variety of, what's the difference between a goblin archer and an elf archer. If the elf archer shoots and his stat is a 4+ and the goblin is a 5+, it doesn't really represent how good an elf should be, compared to a goblin. So when you have a D8 system, it really allows you to create a big range of values that represent the different races and what they're actually good at. And that game is just clean and smooth, and it plays really fast and easy. And you get to roll around with tanks and blow things up, and nice. It's the relief to me from Kings of War, because fantasy it's like 80% fantasy in what I like.
Mm-hmm.
but every once in a while you want to step away into a different kind of universe and just scratch a different itch.
Absolutely.
And that really does it for me.
Now, you did mention painting, and of course we were going to get this question. Are there examples of your painting anywhere, as far as like the Instagram?
I think my Instagram's probably got some stuff, but I don't have a ton of things public. I know it's in like Kings of War fanatics and that kind of thing. I could probably shoot John an email over.
What's your? I wanted to ask you if you don't mind sharing your socials. People can follow you and check out your stuff. What's your IG?
Oh, I don't know. It's all based on Facebook for me.
No worries. I mean, if you don't want to, I may have just asked you to share something you don't want to share, but
no. It's my first initial last name, which
no one can pronounce your last name. So
no.
How do you pronounce it, by the way?
I want to hear you try first.
Let me look at it. Have the spelling. It's Przel. So I have a guy that works.
Przel.
Yeah.
Anything else after that?
Yeah. What are the last few letters?
I'll spell it. Przelenski.
Jelensky.
Brzezinski?
I actually do pronounce the P, but I don't think I'm supposed to. That's the funny thing. Przelinski.
Okay. All right. Przelinski. Yeah. Dark Elf Twilight. You got it right. Well done.
I'm actually more interested in the fact that you pronounce the L like that.
Yeah, I've seen like those types of those Slavic names and whatnot. They vary so much in which syllables or which consonants you choose to pronounce and which ones you don't.
I know. I don't even know.
I mean, you can look at my last name and it's like, okay, yeah. Pronounce it in anglicized version or the Polish version. Good luck.
So, a question that came in was, Joffrey said, "I remember the Hellraiser Kickstarter. What tools did he use?"
That was the Hellboy or Hellraiser?
He said Hellraiser. Did I say Hellboy?
Well, he Hellboy.
He said, yeah, I think he meant Hellboy. He wrote
okay.
Hellboy.
What tools did he use?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that question means. I didn't know if you might. Joffrey, you're going to have to clarify. We're not exactly sure.
He's got the big right hook, and he's got the gun. I forget the name of the gun, but it's like a hand cannon. It's a big, nasty gun.
Okay. There's an echo in the audio. Is anyone else hearing an echo in the audio? That should not be happening. The one thing that can cause, no, that's not happening. Anyone else? Let me just asking. No, Demon Gun, no. All right, so anyone that's hearing an echo, it's on your end. All right, so back to the Q&A stuff. So you get to Mantic and you get the dream job. You're over all these product lines. Do you guys ever have a problem with like focus? You're doing so many things. How do you decide what to focus on?
That is tough. I think it's a quality of Ronnie, really, because the guy loves everything and he gets excited and pushes the different ranges, but it tends to work out well for us because, especially with our release schedule, we thrive on new releases. It gets, that's where all the attention kind of gets pointed at you, announcements and buzz and hype. And that's what Martin's really good at. When you're able to bounce from Kings of War 1 month to Dead Zone the next month to Armada the month after that to Firefight the month after that, it really keeps your audience engaged. And what we find is that when people play one of our game systems, they fall in love with it and then they start checking out the other ones. So
right.
It really helps. It really helps the business kind of just keep rolling. And because they're all sort of connected in one way or another, it feels right. I don't feel like we're stretched too thin just because, with Terrain Crate, those aren't things that take lots of IP work. Mm-hmm. We just get to design cool, dungeon materials or sci-fi, scenery, that kind of thing. And so there's meetings in the studio where we just go over, fun, creative ways and things that we could put out, and look at designs and what would make sense, what would sell well, what are people actually looking for and would, work well for them. But the other things take big teams of effort to write backstory. We hire third-party writers. Clint Warner, I think, is writing now for the Twilight Kin for us, and there's so many things that go into it. We use community volunteers that we call rules committee members that it help us with the rules writing processes and make sure that everything's balanced, because obviously it's very important to us to have games that are fun to play, and if things are out of whack, we want to fix it as quickly as possible. So there's huge efforts in those 4 big fantasy and sci-fi IPs, but the way that they flow and they sort of bounce the releases off of each other, it just kind of keeps everything fresh. It doesn't feel stale. We don't go 6 months in a row just looking at Kings of War, and the other people that play the other games just get kind of tired of it. So it works out well.
I like that. And it also, that product diversity creates excitement. It also creates some insulation against market trends, right? So maybe one thing's up, one thing's down as they grow. And I can see that would be a really exciting, never boring environment to operate in.
Right. Absolutely.
So you sound like an appreciator of all the content and the different types. So we have lots of folks in the chat tonight we have painters, we have terrain creators, we have dungeon masters, we have VTT experts. I wanted to show you something and just get your thoughts on it. This is another recent LMA participant that we had in was a guy by the name of Bill. Bill is known as the Master Crafter. He creates a lot from scratch, from STL prints as well. I thought I'd share with you a picture of some of his work just to shout him out. This is, if you can, I don't know if you have the Twitch screen up, if you can see it. I'll give you a second. Yeah.
I could pull it up on my phone, I think, possibly.
Yeah, go ahead. While you're doing this, it's an entire coliseum that he built for jousting, and it's got gladiatorial stuff. There are tilts to the side, and he uses product from the community, and I'm sure he's loving all this Mantic stuff in the chat tonight. Hello, Anna B. Meyer. Good to have you in as well. Thanks for joining us tonight. Cartographer extraordinaire. While he's looking that up, Rob, what other questions I've got several more, but I want to make sure that we get a chance to ask others. What other questions do you have?
I've been trying to find questions from the chat. Though Steve has been answering some of them as he goes along.
Well, one we had from Fraley was if you print in-house or is it third party?
We do have 3D printers in the studio where essentially our 3D designs go to that to test first before we send them off to plastic or resin. The cost involved with doing, plastic injection molds and even resin molds. Resin's definitely cheaper, but more labor intensive. And plastic is more of a one shot. The tooling for it is very expensive, but then once you have that, the reproduction value is very easy. So you really want to make sure that you get it right before you commit to those expenses, because we're talking tens of thousands of dollars to do these kind of things. So 3D printing really helps. It doesn't obviously capture the perfect detail that you need, but it gives you a good idea of scale and just, when you're holding the models in front of you, is this right? So we definitely do use those in house. And I think they have several at this point. That the mold makers use is essentially to get an idea that helps us cast the molds in the first place. So it's a really good, useful tool.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Actually something occurred to me. Is Mantic going to be at GaryCon this year?
I don't know, to be honest. We might be. Is that in Indiana?
No, it's in Wisconsin. That one's actually later this month.
Oh yeah, then no.
March.
not this year. Sorry about that.
Oh, Adepticon same time. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one for us. Okay, I've got us pulled up here.
Oh, okay. So I'm showing your stuff again. Now I'll switch back over so you can see. This is a Bill the Master Crafter said your stuff is awesome, by the way. This is an example of something he built from scratch. He paints. He does these entire massive terrain settings. And
oh wow!
This was where the grand events of Altamira took place again, and he's pretty amazing. And we got a lot of folks like that in the community that are very active and producing some pretty cool stuff. So your website I've got right now, Armada brought up. These are really neat models.
Yeah,
look at that.
Fantasy Naval is incredibly fun, just because. The game Kings of War is really about, and it's Kings of War Armada. So it's really about positioning. A lot of war games, the best list that you can put together is how you win the game. Whatever, the most overpowered units and that kind of thing, you spam them together. Kings of War is about strategy. It is about how you play your army. So what one person does not, dominate the entire game scene. It's really the better players, and we see that time and time again, that the best players, regardless of what armies they play, win. And Armada, we wanted to create in the same spirit of that. So with a ship game, you obviously want to make it about positioning, because broadsides and raking fire and all that kind of stuff is just the coolest part about any time that you're getting any naval warfare going on. So you take fantasy elements on top of it, but the positioning in the way that you have to kind of predict movement, because the ships will continue to move a certain amount just because they have momentum.
Right.
So you have to predict as you're moving around the board to do it, and you're trying to
the inertia
set up,
that just kind of moves it forward. Yeah.
So it's a ton of fun. And then you add magic and monsters and flyers and all kinds of, crazy things that can go into it. And then flavor from the different factions so that they, make sense. Elves and kind of like these Vikings with the Northern Alliance. And there's so many fun ways that you can represent what they do. But everyone's still fairly balanced. It's a D10 system that is unique. So we're borrowing from all the different dice that are available for role playing.
So that actually is a timely comment for a question we had. What is your favorite resolution system? D6, D8, D20, D10, dice pool, dice with bonuses, cards instead of dice, something else entirely?
Oh, I love them all, but I really do. I went on that whole rant about D8s, and I feel like that's something that really sticks out to me, because I feel like it's something that we do fairly unique. Dead Zone in particular has a mechanic to it where it's called exploding eights. So when you're playing Dead Zone, you do opposed tests. So if I shoot at one of your models, I will get a base of 3 dice. I have a 2-hit score, maybe it's a 5, and you have an armored score, defensive score, where you will roll against it to try to save, anything that happens. So if I hit you with mine and I roll a 1, a 5, and an 8, because I rolled the 8, I get to roll an additional die. And if I roll another 8, I get to roll an additional die. And the same works for you. And you just compare successes. So if you had, 2 successes and I had 1 success, but then I roll 3 more 8s, I beat you. So
that's sort of like a chaining system based on hitting the top level on that. That's cool. That actually could have some applications in certain damage settings for D&D. I like that.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, because when you get someone on a train, we call them 8 trains. When you get someone that really starts going with it can be kind of annoying, because it's like you can have the most elite bad mamma jamma sniper who is up in a building and has the perfect spot, and he takes the absolute best shot possible, nails all of it. But then on the defensive, you're just like, well, I rolled 6 8s, so it doesn't matter. You're just like, okay.
Oh man, this stuff is just incredible. I'm exploring parts of your site I've never, because I don't really get into the sci-fi stuff too.
Sure.
I do like to do it occasionally, but I'm just pretty, immersed in what I'm doing, but it's awesome.
I was looking at the dungeon adventures, which, I think actually the first time John showed one of them or gave one away was the first time I actually became aware of them. I'm guessing that more will be coming. I see 2 of them. So.
Yes. So the adventures boxes, we just released 2 to start, and it's basically a volume 1, volume 2. These are essentially pre-made campaigns for you, where we give you a map and give you some terrain to play with. I know you guys did a nice video on it, which was fantastic. There are 2 more that are coming. Let me think of the name of them. I know I got it on our release schedule here.
So you
are coming very soon.
We did Secrets of the Wizard's Tower, but you also had the Necromancer's Lair, I believe.
Yes.
That were the first 2. And yeah, we ran the one for Secrets of the Wizard's Tower as a one-shot, and it was awesome. It's got all the terrain. We spent some time, we painted up a bunch of the terrain. It's got a battle map in it. It's got the entire adventure booklet in it to run, and all the scatter terrain. So all you really need to do is add minis, and it's a ready-made adventure in a box. And it was a blast to play.
And we've got volume 3, which is Curse of the Vampire, and volume 4, Beware the Green Rage, which is coming out in mid-April this year. So
nice.
Very cool.
If you want to continue the story, if you like what you found and you enjoyed the experience, then they obviously will be able to roll into each other and keep it going.
Love it. And we'll feature some more of that on Blue Box, and we'll probably play through a couple of those, and we'll do some more giveaways with them as well. So another question from the chat: if you're getting into terrain, what are some essentials you recommend? Modularity, maybe places to start.
As far as what I would recommend is fitting your campaign setting. First and foremost, if you know that you're getting ready to go into a specific place, we've got some really nice sets that there's so much variety in what you can look for and find and put together for your campaign. My favorite is it's the tavern set that we have, because there's so many adventures start inside of a tavern. So things like that when you're putting it together, there's so much out there. There's whiz kids, there's buckets of terrain that's available for so many places. And this, in my opinion, if you scroll through our range, there's so much available. It might even give you ideas on where to take your campaign, because if you see something cool, it might just spark an idea that says, I want to go into a dungeon of some sort and figure out what kind of traps and stuff I could spring on my characters or my players. So there's lots of ways to do it. The GM's dungeon crate, which you're looking at right there, is a really good value box, because you get a boatload of terrain, you get baddies, you get player characters, all kinds of fun stuff in just sort of one box. So distribution in North America carries this stuff, all over the place. So you can find it in a lot of stores. So it is a really good value box that carries a ton of options.
Yeah, that dragon mini is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's from the King's War range. We like to share stuff back and forth.
Yeah, I like that. And then you can combine that with everything that's in this box set. And yeah, the tavern set, I have that. I've got a bunch of your tavern gear here. I use it. I combine, because I've got some of the other terrain stuff, and I combine your terrain stuff and do scatter build outs and whatnot. And it works really, really well. You want to paint it all, Amanda? Yes.
I might have bought all the large boxes once upon a time.
I remember it was a while ago, but there was one thing that was on Critical Role, and they had one of our terrain crate pieces on there, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I like the battlefield runes. Look at those. I don't have that box set. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we have stuff for modern war games as well. War games are even things like Marvel Crisis Protocol that people play, where they're looking for that sort of post-apocalyptic scenery. Even World War II era stuff. So there's lots of really fun ways to just dive into it.
What was the inspiration for inspiration on design? What sources does your team go to? Are you watching? Is it just fantasy stuff? Is it gameplay that you guys actually run? Do you have product teams that go out and survey the market? How do you really figure out what's coming next?
I think a lot of it comes from Ronnie's brain, to be perfectly honest. The guy is an idea tank, and he just comes up with things. I'll go and visit him in the UK, and we'll sit down, we'll be in a pub somewhere talking, and he will throw something out, and we'll sit there, and he will have an entire product plan ready to go for it just off the top of his head. And it's amazing working with him because of how he's able to do that. Once that happens, it essentially comes back to our studio team, which goes through a whole bunch of design iterations where we have meetings, we talk about it, we say, does this look good? Does this look right? That kind of stuff. We work with a sculptor on pretty much a daily basis and get feedback on it and see what can make the most sense. Sometimes it comes from our own personal experiences. We're still a fairly small company. So I remember I went to Historicon in PA a couple years ago, and I had a booth set up, and I sold a ton of the campsite terrain crate set, which is literally just a couple of tents, a fire, a kettle. There's a couple of really basic things.
I've got it right here.
Yeah. And I mean, those guys went nuts for it. And I was like, okay, maybe there's a market for some historical stuff that we can come up with. And that's where a lot of the modern sets came from, World War II style brick ruins and that sort of thing. So it's crazy. And, some of it comes from our other game systems. I know I mentioned earlier, Dead Zone is where a lot of the sci-fi terrain came from. We had the Walking Dead license for quite a while. And, that was a big part of, where we came up with a lot of the modern and post-apocalyptic sets. So it's just, there's some really cool cars and RVs that we do with MDF, density fiberboard. And fun things like that. So it comes from all over, but it's usually inspired by Ronnie's craziness and our other universes and our customer base. Because the thing about Mantic that I fell in love with as a fan, first and foremost, was how responsive and in tune with the customer base they are. So when people give us suggestions, we really genuinely take it to heart and listen to it. And that typically just comes from social media, from meeting them in person at events, all those kind of things. It's amazing how much we get from our fans and try to specifically cater to them.
I love that. I mean, that's a great business model, and being responsive to your fans earns you brand loyalty. And I've sensed that with the Mantic community. You guys have a lot of huge fans out there.
Yeah.
All right. So a question that came in. This is from Steve. Will Ronnie ever finish painting his dwarves?
I think it's one of those things where if he does, it's a scary sign. I was in his office in October, and he's got a big display cabinet full of them, and there's so many of them. I mean, there's tons and tons of them, and it's amazing how much he actually has put together. And he does something that is bizarre to me as a painter, because I like to paint every single model, pay attention to all the little details. He will glue them to the base, prime it from the top, and then only paint what you can see. So he'll put 15, 20 guys on a base for a unit for Kings of War or something like that, and then literally just picks out the parts that you can see, and it looks fine. You couldn't tell that there was a thing missing in the first place. It looked amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The chat's blowing up. Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made the comment that you're catering to your audience and being responsive to your fans, and my resident troll Pat Draws said that I never cater to my fans. I TPK all the favorite PCs. That is a lie. That is an absolute lie. Vivi, Josh, Rory had never had a character die in 3 years of gaming in Greyhawk Awakening until Josh's characters in book 2.
Wait. No, Rory had a character die.
No, he got resurrected. That doesn't count. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry there should be no spoilers at this point. That's been far enough in the past. So you mentioned you had previously like the Walking Dead license, a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff. Where would I find any of the post-apocalyptic stuff on the site?
There is a section of the website, and it should be labeled post-apocalyptic. It might be under the sci-fi heading. Okay,
let me go back to the homepage here and go down. New releases, Kings of War Terrain Crate. What am I know there's a drop down right hand menu somewhere I'm not seeing. Let's go all games, I guess.
The funny thing is, I don't shop on our website that much, obviously.
Right. Understandable. So Warpath, Deadball, Vanguard, Star Saga, Dungeon Saga, League of Infamy, novel short stories.
So if you go to the Terrain Crate heading and then hit the filter button, you should see a drop down that kind of opens up, and it says featured, and then fantasy, modern and post-apocalyptic, and then sci-fi.
Featured, fantasy, sci-fi. Oh, I see. There it is. Yes. Got it. Very cool. So, as we're kind of scrolling through this, the question came, and I think the answer is no, because if it's yes, I would have probably already bought them. Do you guys have any pre-painted stuff, or does everything that you produce come unpainted?
Everything that we produce comes unpainted as of now. Okay. So we'll see.
Are you looking to make an announcement here first?
No. I know we've flirted with it in the past. Ronnie at the heart of the company just really likes the hobby side of all of this, and I think that he knows that there's a market for it, but at the same time, it just kind of hurts his heart to think that we would go that route. But there's a lot of people that really just want to be able to open something up and start using it right away. So if we do it, the Terrain Crate range would definitely be where it comes from.
I think that would be where we would, obviously, in this community, love to see it. Because we have a lot of painters, but provided painted minis is expensive, like really expensive. It is, but I think that's kind of a hallmark of if you look at Terrain Crate and you compare the cost of your product versus other types of dungeon materials, I mean, it's to me one of the best values out there. You don't have to.
We try to pack the boxes full too.
Yeah, you do. You pack the boxes full. They're useful pieces, and they're a fraction of what you pay elsewhere. Is what I found. Is that? I mean,
it does come with cost.
Yeah, is that
paint them?
Right, exactly. But I mean, I've seen unpainted stuff that costs a whole lot more than your stuff does. Now,
sure,
you know, you can have on your table, you can have things that are, you know, much heavier and heavier duty, but frankly, what difference does that make when you're playing at the table?
Right.
You know, I find your product to be a really nice kind of sweet spot between quality and value, that anybody that really wants to put stuff on their table to enhance their game without, you know, taking out a mortgage, it's a great way to go. And I don't know, is that part of the philosophy in the company to make it accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had, you know, different catchphrases in the past, you know, kind of different slogans, and one of them at one point in time was affordable wargaming. And that was, you know, before Terrain Crate came around. And we've since kind of evolved to different things, but your games, your way, we've done lots of things, but affordability is a really important part of this hobby in general, because it's people's disposable income first and foremost.
Right.
You know, you have to want to give a company your money, and the money has value to you. And if there's a decision between one product and another, if you can get the right quality for the right cost, that's a very good thing. So it is absolutely a goal of ours. We talk about price increases that we see from other companies that come across the table, and we don't do it. Ronnie will not pull the trigger on a price increase unless we absolutely have to. So even during COVID and when things were insane with shipping costs, you know, a lot of the plastic comes from China. That's where it has to come from. You deal with those unexpected changes, and it's like, how do we get around a price increase? And when the CEO talks like that, as opposed to, no, let's just add, you know, $10 to every box. That's when you know that that's absolutely a philosophy of what you're trying to do. We want our stuff to be affordable so that it's enjoyed.
Nice. Well, I mean, I love that. And, you know, this stuff can get very expensive. This is an expensive hobby when you obviously, theater of mind keeps everything the least expensive, right? But the moment you start adding any of these components, it can get quite pricey. And so that goal of keeping it affordable, making it accessible to a broader team, and I think contributes to that loyalty that you have for your brand. I'm going to go ahead and do our first giveaway while I get this prepped, Robert. It's going to be #BlueBoxRPG. I know many of you have already done it, but I'll give you another 15 seconds or so. Put #BlueBoxRPG, all one word, in the chat, and you'll be entered in the first giveaway, which is for this Denizens of the Abyss box set. This includes infernal creatures of various levels of threat. You've got some pretty wicked looking creatures in here, and this includes 9 miniatures in one box set, suitable, as we said earlier, to destroy any party. And so we'll give that away in just a moment. So type #BlueBoxRPG in the chat. Rob, I want you to ask another question.
Ooh, no, I mean, because one thing I wanted to mention was, you know, we talk about the painting versus unpainted, and one thing I've noticed, especially with all the stuff that I've bought, is most of the stuff that I get that comes repainted, it's nice to have something quick I can just throw out there. They rarely ever look really good. I mean, miniatures themselves may be nice, but the paint job is always, do I want to paint this over? Because I don't like the way that stuff comes out. Right.
No, it's tough. It's tough when you see, you know, a really badly mismatched eyeball that's like, you know, halfway down the face, and it depends on how they do it. You know, like I imagine almost like an assembly line of like what you would see at like a nail salon with like a bunch of ladies just sitting there like going to town on a whole bunch of things and a whole bunch of minis. And obviously when you do it that way, the quality suffers. So finding a solution for pre-painted that's affordable, that isn't labor intensive, that's the trick. And I've heard some potential industry solutions to that. It's not things I can talk about, but there's some really interesting light exposure things that you can do and control with it. So if we can dive into it, I think that I would love to see us be one of the first ones to bite into something like that, because it's just really interesting how it can work. And I feel like the quality would definitely be better if you can pull something like that off.
Yeah, well said.
No, one question I do have.
Hey, Rob, Rob, can you hold that one second, just real quick? So,
Sure.
Congratulations to Joffrey. Joffrey won the box set. That's Storycaster of Dice Songs. He's also our newest sponsor, creator of incredible music, and he's doing all the musical content right now for Book 3, which, Kyle, is an Athasian or Dark Sun-based game in the world of Greyhawk and the Sea of Dust. That's going to be a blast, and so thank you so much for that, Joffrey. And congrats. He actually said fingers crossed right before I rolled the thing, and then he won. And he was already typing in, he only wins the mouse pad long ago, the bot hates him. So he was trying the Pat Draws I never win approach, and it actually worked. Now go ahead and type hashtag BlueBoxRPG again. So I've cleared out the other giveaway. Now is our grand prize giveaway tonight. Kyle, tell them what they're winning.
We are giving away a $100 Mantic web store voucher, so that you guys can go onto the website and pick out some really cool stuff that you've seen tonight, and whatever piques your fancy. It's all yours.
I'm going to resist the urge to type in my own command name here because I want that. That is awesome. So you can get directly from Kyle's fingertips. He'll send it to Manda, and Manda will send it to you, the code. And you've seen all the incredible stuff on their website. $100 gift card code can get you a lot on the Mantic site. Now, Rob has a question. Before Rob has the question, I'm going to ask a question. And this question is a question you need to listen to, Kyle, because you're going to ask the same question in about 15 or 20 minutes, all right? So here's how it goes. If you're watching right now and you haven't given us a follow, or if you're a follower and you haven't subbed, or if you're a sub whose subscription has expired, no. We have one question for you tonight. What are you doing? Come on, give us a follow, give us a sub here at Blue Box. We appreciate it all. We're marching toward 2,500 followers on Twitch, which is a milestone we should be hitting here in the next 30 days or so, and we appreciate all the support. So, Kyle, you got that down. You're going to ask that question in about 15 minutes. All right. Rob, your question. Go ahead. Thanks, everyone.
So for King's War, are you is Mantic doing like organized gameplay of any sort? I know you have the Pathfinders, but wasn't really clear on if they're just ambassadors or if it's like there's organized games and such.
Is that what this Mantic Companion is? I brought up the Mantic Companion on the site. Is that okay?
So the Mantic Companion links all of our war games together. We don't have Armada yet, but it's coming next month. And what it does is essentially gives you, I might be able to, because you have to sign up to do it, but I might be able to share my screen and kind of show you if you'd like. Oh, sure.
In fact, if you want, with the remaining time, that's probably the easiest thing. Go ahead and share. No, if you share your screen, it's going to split it all. Send me the link in email, and I'll click it and I'll bring it up here. Can I do that, or is it a login? I think you got it on the website, which is good, but you have to sign up to the companion to get a lot of the details. So you're looking at it. You're correct there. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna bring up a link, and you go to this. We'll do this. We can do this real quick. So Video Ninja, here it is. So Kyle, go to https://video.ninja, and it's a super easy thing. You're gonna click share a screen. And when you click, you choose the screen you're going to share, and it's going to give you a link. Email me that link, and I'll be able to pull your screen up live on our show. Gotcha. And while my dominant hand is broken, so I'm a little bit slower. I'm making the poor injured man send an email. But I think it'd be really good for people to see this, because you do have an excellent way for people to connect and see what's happening inside the community. So. Oh, I think I messed it up. No worries. No, Ninja? Just my regular personal email. Nothing exciting in there. Okay, so... And as soon as that email comes through... Rob, talk to us about what's going on with your socials. I know you had a really successful part of our charity stream as well. What else is going on with Phantom NJ?
Well, I mean, Friday night we will be continuing in the Moat House for Friday Night Crusades. We are now officially at the point where I think the minimum that I'm expecting to show up on any given Friday night is 9. We're going to be at the point because we had another new player join us. We have another one who was interested. So if they sign up or if they start playing, we're going to be at the point soon. We're going to be running at least 10 regularly. So it's not so much a dungeon crawl as it is as a MMO style raid of the dungeon. much craziness, much enthusiasm. The group is. I don't know how it works, but it works. They keep showing up, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, no, I mean, you say 10. I mean, I've only seen it dip below 10 maybe once in the last several months. I mean, you're always up there.
Yeah, we've had for the last 4 sessions we've averaged 10.5 players. At some point in the session anyway, we've had 10. I've been averaging 10.5. But I mean, they come early or come a little late, stay, leave a little early if they need to. So, but yeah, it's big. I mean, my players. And it's funny because with all that, there's a heck of a lot more roleplay than you would think, and yet somehow we still get things done. And I credit that to the fact that, one, because of the fact of playing scenes, Castles and Crusades, there's not, combat moves really fast. We don't spend a heck of a lot of time in combat, even for the big ones. So we get through it quick.
For sure. And you guys have done a great job, Robert. You run a fantastic crew there, and the enthusiasm for it's super high. That's in our Discord. If you haven't seen it, guys, you can pop in the Discord. I think the link's been put up several times, and all you have to do is go to the Friday Night Crusades channel. It kicks off at 7 Eastern or Central, I think, on Friday nights. And
7 Central, 8 Eastern, and we are coming up on a 2-year anniversary.
That's correct.
That's coming really quick. It'll be 2 years. I believe the session, I'll have to double check, but I believe the session at the 2-year anniversary will be April 6th for this year.
We'll do something fun there. We'll do some giveaways that night as well. And we'll promote that on the channel. That's great, Rob. All right, so Kyle, we've got your screen up now, so you can go ahead and walk us through it.
So the question was asked about social events and kind of organized play for the different game systems, and we do have it, and it's all run through this Mantic companion. And this is a brand new site that works as kind of like a web app. You can put it on your phone and download it straight away, and it will work for you and get a lot of access to the different game systems. So when you talk about Kings of War, inside here there's a tab that's got the list builder. So if you want to build a Kings of War army list, or even just check things out, see what stats are like for all the different factions, it's here. Our entire rule book is available in a big wide open thing where if you just want to learn how a certain mechanic works, you can click on it and literally go straight to the rule. So it's a really nice interactive, easy flowing. You can search for certain things. Really good way to do it, and it works for all of our game systems. And when it comes to organized play, we've got 2 things. The first one is a companion tournament companion side, where if you want to register a tournament, you can set it up on here and send it to your players. They can build their list right here, submit it straight to the tournament, and then people can track it with the events, which are done on this page. And you can see if I narrow this down to just the United States, all the different events that are going on registered on the companion around the country. So you can see, for example, the Adepticon events here coming up at the end of March. When you do this, it literally links to the location, the pack link. So if people want to know how many points they're playing with, if there's any special rules, what the cost is to enter the event, it's all done right on here. And once the event is over, then we put you in the Kings of War worldwide rankings. So literally all of your games and events get recorded, and how often you finish, a 1, 2, 3 with the podiums, your score. You can click on different, players all around the world.
Can you search a name in there? Can you search a name for me? I just realized who I should have had on the show tonight, Robert. I'm an idiot. I can't search Chandler Peterson. See, can you search players?
Well,
doesn't look like you can.
Now. Let's see. No.
Okay, that's right. Never mind. I should have had Chandler on. Chandler loves Kings of War. Plays it all the time, and I would not be surprised at all if he's part of this community. So that's cool. Well, thank you for sharing. Anything else while we've got your screen up here? You want to walk us through anything else? I've been kind of ham-fisting it through your website.
No, it's okay. This if you really do get into any of our game systems, this is a fantastic tool to sign up for, because it, like I said, it gives you all of the rules. Anytime we update anything, it's done immediately on this webpage right away. So if different units get stat tweaks or that kind of thing, you don't even have to wait for the book to come out. It's done, boom, right here, and you can get onto it, and then you can link up with different communities. We've literally got club directories so that you can see different places around the world. It's a very new thing for us. So I can't control plus and zoom at the same time because I only got one hand. It's a very new thing for us. So we're still filling all this information out. That's why the US is a little bit sparse, but it's a fantastic tool, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's worth it. Even, it's a subscription platform where you can get on and you get access to free stuff, or if you want to dive into the really advanced things, you can get on here and get all kinds of information too, monthly or yearly for different discounts. So it's a really fun way to sort of check it out and find events and players and all kinds of things.
This is awesome.
Out of my email and
and there's there I am. I'm huge. All right, so actually, I think everybody in the chat, they saw the on your bar up there. They really wanted you to click that chase button, and no, of course we would have killed the stream instantly if that. No, but thank you very much for walking us through that. That was cool, and it's a really fully featured way for people to be able to connect inside the community.
Yeah. Yes.
Good on you guys. So what you mentioned, new product releases and new things that are coming. Anything exciting that you can tell us about you guys have on the horizon?
So this year we're spending more money on Kings of War than we ever have in the history of the company, including in those Kickstarter years where you dump hundreds of thousands of pounds into product development and research. Huge year for us, and in conjunction with that companion app, we're going to start releasing alternative 3D prints that can be done on that app. People can sign up and get models, access to models and alternative models on there. There are a ton of different updates that we're putting out for all the different game systems. Armada is getting a big expansion in the summer that is essentially new ways to play with terrain and deal with islands and all kinds of fun scenarios that can bring up. The Trident Realm is a new fleet, so literally the sea creatures that are coming from beneath the sea are getting ready to come up onto the surface and fight things. As far as the sci-fi space, Firefight is getting ready to have a very big tank push. So Ronnie calls it tank porn because it's just tanks and tanks and tanks. So a lot of really exciting model releases for all the different game systems. Our RPs are going to be really big. There are several that we are on the verge of signing on that I cannot talk about. I really wish I could. I even asked.
Well, thanks for trying.
Yeah. But we do a lot of stuff with IPs that can give us a big splash and get us some good attention. And there are two in particular that I'm really excited about. So big year ahead for us, honestly. Lots of really nice releases. Terrain Crate's getting a good bit of attention towards the middle and back half of the year, so lots of really nice things to look forward to.
Well, that's awesome. Congrats, my friend. So a couple things I want to talk about for announcements, and we'll do a couple more questions as we get ready to wrap up here. You still have time. Type hashtag BlueBoxRPG, all one word, hashtag BlueBoxRPG in the chat for your chance to win a $100 gift code to anything on the Mantic website. And there is, as we've shown tonight, more than you can possibly imagine. There is so much available to you on the Mantic site. So a $100 gift card will be, or a code will be given away in just a moment. While I'm prepping for that, let me talk about a couple of things that we have coming up here at Blue Box. So first of all, next week, I've just confirmed this. I got to triple check it, but I'm pretty sure next week we're going to have the ever mysterious Tim on, Rob. And we've been talking about doing a deeper dive into realistic combat, ways to better eviscerate, better separate limb. We're actually talking about like tactical combat, ways to make things more engaging and realistic, and also, some of the variations that you see in D&D which are not necessarily so. So it'll be a fun way to pep up your combat in your game. So that'll be a fun talk with Tim next week, Rob. Maybe a little bit too soon after what happened last Tuesday night, but hey, it'll be a fun chat. Then we have coming up, we have a couple big LMAs. Of course, we have our Tears of Air stream coming this Sunday. That's an amazing crew. And then we have coming up on the 15th, Patrick Fraley 17 will be doing a 3D printing LMA again. We did one of those about a year and a half ago. Very popular. He'll bring in an FDM printer. He also has a resin printer. We'll have other people that'll be printing probably simultaneously. We'll show different models. We'll talk about the technologies, how to engage in those types of tech. Then we have coming up on the 5th of April, we have this gal, Ashlyn, Dollar Store DM. You can see that it'll be 5:30 to 7:30. It'll be a special 2-hour episode, a budget build battle. And we're going to be building a terrain for a tavern from scratch. And this is using, let's see, the components here are cork, chipboard, toothpicks, paper, and anything else you want. We asked her, what is chipboard? It's apparently like lightweight cardboard, so like cereal box type cardboard. And what we're going to do for this, we're going to have our live chat open in Discord. We'll pump that into Twitch. We'll have Video Ninja links available, so anyone that's building at home that wants to share what you're building with us live on stream, you'll be able to do that, just like Kyle just did, showing us the Mantic Companion. And during those 2 hours, you'll do your own build of a tavern, and then you'll post it in our Discord if you want to. And Ashlyn will select the winners from that, and we'll do some giveaways and some special prizes. So you're not going to want to miss that. That's going to be April 5th. That'll be LMA 115. And then before that, we have coming up on March 22nd, it's Women's Month. And we have a very special stream on the 22nd called Throw Dice Like a Girl. And I have an amazing panel of women that they actually elected for this title. And it includes Ashlyn, it includes Biscotti, Hottie, Megan, it includes Cameron, who plays in my Tears of Air, as well as Rachel, who plays in my Tears of Air game. And then Courtney of Figuratively Speaking Minis. And that's going to be a fantastic, that will also be a 2-hour LMA. That'll be an early start time, accommodating everyone's schedules, and that's going to be at 5 o'clock Central on the 22nd. And it's going to be discussing the trials, the tribulations, the triumphs of female gamers, everything from cosplay to video games to Dungeons and Dragons to mini painting, all the things that they both see as the growth and benefits, but also some of the obstacles that the gamer girls face in the community. That's going to be a fantastic stream, so mark your calendars. I also forgot to say thank you. The Master of Dungeons, are you still in? You rated us earlier with 6 people. I meant to say something and I forgot. Let me see. Crud, they're gone. I'll have to message them. I'll whisper them. But if anybody from that community is still on, thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. All right, so you have just a couple minutes left for hashtag BlueBoxRPG. Hashtag BlueBoxRPG for the giveaway. And Rob, any final questions you have for Kyle?
No, I mean, I'm just excited to see the stuff that's coming out, and there's more stuff here I need to get my hands on. And then I need to paint the stuff that I have, because I've got a lot of it.
Nice. Kyle, any final thoughts you have? Anything you'd like to share with the community, or anything else you can tell us about?
Really, for me, it's just, we're still a fairly small company. We are trying our hardest to do the coolest and best things that we can do. And we rely a lot on word of mouth and passionate people in our communities to spread us, because there's so many products out there. There's so many options for people to do so many different things with game systems, with tabletop, anything. And we think that we have something special just because we're a bunch of nerds just like you who are trying to do something really fun and cool. So I really encourage you to just give us a chance to look at what we're doing and see if it's something that you can get on board with, because we find most times that if people just give us a chance, they fall in love with us really quick. So yeah, just take a look at Mantic anytime that you see us on a store shelf or, on our websites, any of those things. It's really, really important to us.
Outstanding. And no, I mean, again, stand-up guy here. If some of you joined later, he's got a broken humerus, busted it, right at the arm, right below the shoulder, playing hockey. He was knocked down what appears to have been a Smurf, and just snapped it right there. It was really, really tough. And so, no, and seriously, he did break it playing hockey, and he's still on with us on heavy pain medication, unable to type just a few days later. Thank you. I will use the updated poster. Amanda, my bad. I'll get that next time. And I have two final questions. One, how does one become a Pathfinder? What would they do if they were interested in promoting and being more active in promoting Mantic?
So the biggest thing is that you can reach out to our support inbox, which is just support@manticgames.com, and just express that you have an interest, and we will get you in touch with all the people, because there's different people that run based on where you are in the world. So it's literally, anywhere in the world you can get involved with the process. Nice.
And then last question, who's the best Pathfinder we have currently in our chat?
Oh, man. You told me, and I forgot.
It's okay. he's the one that told me to ask the question. He's the one that told me to ask the question. Bloodwild SW. That's Steve Deppy. Thank you, Steve, for being in the chat tonight.
Thank you, Steve, for getting me to spend lots and lots of money.
Yeah, for all the money you have cost us, Steve. Thank you. All right. So with that, we're going to get ready to raid Jay, but let's do our giveaway. I'll give you guys 10 more seconds. While those 10 seconds are going, Kyle has a question that he's going to ask you. And again, it's follow, sub, or resub. If your sub is expired. Kyle, what's the question?
What are you doing?
No, that's the answer. You're supposed to ask the question.
Welcome to Jeopardy.
Yeah, welcome to No, so you would say if you're watching tonight, you haven't followed. If you're a follower, you haven't subbed. Or if your sub is expired, and then you say we have one question for you, and then we'll join you.
Oh man, this is tough.
I gave it. Hey, every one of my guests does this. So come on, I know you didn't break your jaw. You just broke your arm, Kyle. Come on.
If you're following,
if you're watching right now, and
you're watching right now, but you don't follow. If you're not subbed,
I'll take it.
Okay.
Or if your sub has expired.
Has expired. Okay. Yeah. Or if your sub has expired
and you haven't resubbed.
Now,
as he asked the question, you've got to admit with me, chat, none of my guests has struggled that hard with the question. He needs a couple sympathy follows. So when he asks this question, we need to see a follow or two just in sympathy for Kyle. Kyle, go ahead. Say we have one question for you.
We have one question for you.
What are you doing? Come on, give us a follow, give us a sub for Kyle's sake. And here we go. We're going to do the giveaway. The winner of the $100 Mantic Games gift card tonight is, drum roll, Chris Bruengal. Congratulations, my friend. You have won the Mantic gift card, longtime member of our community. And so we have your information. Just get with Manda, and we're going to set up to do the raid now to our friend Lord Gazumba. Looks like he's doing some fun Castles and Crusades stuff tonight. And I want to say again, Kyle, thank you. What a pleasure. Thank Martin for me and the whole team there at Mantic Games.
Sure.
Not just great product, but a great company, a great group of people behind it. I appreciate you guys being sponsors with us. And at some point, I might try to see if I can get you to come in and play in a one-shot. I'd like you to play in one of our games here at Blue Box. That might be a good time.
That'd be fun.
And maybe for one of our charity events. And Kyle, again, on behalf of all the Mad Chatters and the community, thank you, all of you. And thank you, Kyle. Thank you always to my lovely co-host, Rob. We appreciate you being on with us tonight. And with that said, Blue Box rating now.